I told myself this has to sell out on the first day for it to be a success, or else it'll be like a flop. Launched with 20,000 units and we sold out in an hour.
That's Maxx Chewning, YouTuber, entrepreneur, and creator of Sour Strips, one of the fastest growing creator-led brands in the world.
He took $50,000, no investors, and turned it into a candy empire that was recently acquired by Hershey's for $75 million.
I never hired a CFO to manage my finances. I literally handled, should we spend the money on this or like negotiating the finances, the business. 100% of those were done by me.
In this episode, Max shares how he built Sour Strips from scratch, the behind-the-scenes decisions that made the brand explode,
and the consumer-first mindset that made his company scale beyond his own popularity.
Every decision that I made, I did it from a perspective of the consumer. I was such a candy-loving expert that I think for the masses that my opinion on sour candy should apply to the majority of people who like sour candy.
We dive into the biggest risks he took from changing manufacturers to switching formulas,
and how authenticity plus relentless consumer focus created a product that candy lovers couldn't ignore.
Even when we switched manufacturers and like changed the entire formula of like the product, that was a huge risk in the company. But I was like, we have to do this to like scale the business.
This isn't just a story about candy, it's a blueprint for any creator looking to build a brand that outgrows themselves.
Let's get into it.
You put in $50,000 into Sour Strips in the very early days. Your goal was to make the best sour candy available. We got one of them sitting right in front of me. How did you use that $50,000 to leverage one of the fastest growing candy brands in the world?
Well, it was all a dream. No, I honestly, in the 50,000 wasn't this like, okay, I'm going to allocate $50,000 for like this, and here's my go-to-market strategy. It just happened that when I say 50,000, what that represents is everything it took up to the day of launch, and then technically the first 3 restocks of it. So like the launch quantity, but I basically ordered enough to have kind of these like reorders. So it essentially fronted the first like 2 to 3 launches, which happened very quickly. But the 50,000 was like the influencer marketing I was like kind of doing with these like promo boxes, legal stuff set up, trademark stuff set up, like nutrition lawyers to make sure all the panels cause again, I dove into this without knowing anything. So I didn't know that certain stuff has to be like in this area on the bag and like this can't say this. And so it's a very specific of what you can, of like how much risk you want to do to be like in compliance. So yeah, it was the 50 grand. And then it just kind of like.
So you're banking on the fact that they were going to be able to need to be restocked.
Yes, I told, so one of our employees now who, her name is Mona, she works in Hawaii remotely. She moved to Texas from Virginia kind of like with me to just kind of like, I don't know anyone in Texas. I needed some help with my clothing. So she came along with me, and we always joke that I would just kind of randomly come in the office multiple days and just be like, I have this idea today. And one would be like, Mona, I want to launch a pop-up for clothing in New York. Can you figure it out? She's like, okay, like, or I want to put like my dog Dude on a billboard. Like, can you figure out how we get through that? She's like, okay. So every day it was like this kind of like random idea. So I talked to her about the kind of the candy brand, and we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. But I told myself, and I might have told her, but I basically said like, this has to sell out on the first day for it to be a success, or else it'll be like a flop. Like, this has to be this just boom of a move. And I kind of had all of like the things like lined up to make it this big success in terms of so Christian, who launched 3D at the time, was this other name that he had to change. He called his project like Project X, was his like secret project. So I've always goofed on Christian like my whole journey. So I came up with mine's Project XX. So leaned into my name. It was just like, see, his was so secret. Mine has 2 X's in it, bro. So I just came up with this like secret project I was working on, called it Project XX, and I like built this like build up for honestly too long, to the point where people are like, all right, Max, like, they're like, you're hyping it up too far away from when it is. Because I kept saying like Project XX is coming. It's going to be sick. It's going to be nothing y'all have ever seen in this industry, like type of thing. And then I kept coming closer. So I had this hype around this project. I then was like, it's going to launch on my 30th birthday on September 9th. So what I did with my audience was I'd done sponsorships and things like that, but I had never I mean, I had like a clothing brand, right? But I was like, hey, I have these things. But for this one, I kind of made it this like joke where I was like, guys, I'm turning 30. This secret project, you're gonna love it. I told them what the cost was. I said it's gonna be $20 and it's gonna be $5 shipping. So it's gonna be $25, okay? I was like, I want y'all to save up $25. And for my birthday, out of the past 10 years of content I've given you, this is the first time I'm asking you to spend money. Like before it was like, you can decide if it is clothing, but I was like, this, guys, I want you to spend 25 bucks. I was like, if you've been getting content, you think my video's been worth 25 bucks over the past like decade, this is what I want you to do because we needed this to blow up. So I built this like hype up, and then I had like 250 influencers in this like marketing campaign that I did where I had these like, I'm gonna send you this. I reached out to them, this whole list of people, and then it almost turned into this thing where people like wanted to be involved in this secret project that I was doing. I would get DMs from people that would like, hey, I heard, I have 150 to 300,000. I heard you need like influencers. And I would say like, I'm coming out this thing. I can't tell you what it is. I'll send it to you like a week before it launches. You can't tell anyone. And so we sent them this like box with this card and everything. And I was like, hey, I just need you guys, it's great if you post it, but I just need you to send me a video of you opening it and like seeing what it is, right? Because then I made this like compilation video. And then Christian had the good idea, which I originally was against because I was like, bro, I'm already spending so much money. But he goes, hey, you should give everyone a gift card. And I'm like, what? He's like, hey, you should give everyone a gift card in these promo boxes for like a movie theater. And I was like, that's a good idea. So the idea behind that was like, so I sent everyone, we looked up the closest movie theater to where they were, right? So whether it be an AMC or a Cinemark or whatever, and we gave them a $25 gift card to the movie theater. And the idea was like, then like, I'm almost like buying a like promotion from them because the influencer would be like, oh, I got a $25 gift card and candy. They'll take the candy into the movie theater. The trash from the thing will be like out in the world. It'll get it out in the world. And I was like, I bet if I got a $25 gift card, I'd probably post about it because I'm like, that's really nice, right? So, and then in the card announcing what the project was, we're like, and like sneak this into your next movie. Enjoy this movie on us. So I had this like big audience of like 250 influencers, and I got this like big video. So then when I was like doing the teasing and the announcement, I could have this compilation of like all these creators across like the board. And then, so it was like big hype, big influencer, 30th birthday. I was also, without knowing, I was at the peak of my popularity online too, right? It was like before COVID. So YouTube long form was at like its top. I was getting like 130,000 views of vlogs. So it was like, I was just on top of the world. I didn't know that the views would slowly start, dipping over time, but it was like this perfect timing, perfect storm. There had been other people that had launched products, but it was, now it's very almost commonplace for influencers and celebrities to like create these brands. And I absolutely was not the first, but I was absolutely an early in the game. So it was just this like perfect storm of a launched with 20,000 units. And we sold out in an hour. And it was kind of like, and it was really well received too, because it was one of those things that made sense with my audience. It wasn't as random as candy is. It was like, of course Maxx came out with candy. Of course he's the candy guy. Of course he came out with sour candy. So that's kind of the how it like launched with such success, and then it sold out, and then it was like, all right, let's figure this shit out.
You bring up that it's kind of now a common thing for influencers or creators to create a product to sell. Most of these people that you hear about, or most of the creators that you hear about launching brands, have massive followings. Mm-hmm. You told us that at the time of launching, you had a good size audience, but like not maybe at the level of like a Logan Paul or KSI. What about what you created allowed you to scale it to the level that you did without maybe having the biggest audience to like rely on?
Yeah, I without any data to back this up, and I don't even know if it's a cool thing to mention, I like to think that sour strips, I would say, like, I don't think I'm wrong, but I think sour strips is probably like one of the most successful influencer launched CPG products in the history of CPG in comparison to how many followers they have. Like, I think the success of how big of a creator I was compared to what this was able to do eclipses, I mean, a lot of people. And what it shows is how good the product and the brand and the product market fit it was, but also like my audience. It shows how kind of I made vlogs, and I still make vlogs where like people, there's cool things that are going on in my vlogs. I may do things that are different than, my normal kind of life. But for the most part, like people generally come to my videos for me specifically, not really the like shock value thing that I'm doing. So when you have an audience that's like really, intertwined with like you as a person of how you make them feel, maybe joy they get from just watching your videos, where mine's very like entertainment, humor focused. It started with fitness and still has an aspect of that. I think they kind of get behind what you're doing. And with candy, there's a million videos on my page of me talking about candy, showing people what the best candy was, what my favorite candy, man, this candy sucks. I'd be in like Austria eating random sour belts and being like, man, this sucks. Like companies need to hire me to like give the final approval. Like I just always talked about candy. I always was just posting about it when I'd go to these fitness expos and I'd have, 8 hours of lines of people come in to say what's up and meet with, myself and Christian, all these other kind of people. People would bring like gifts, and the gifts they would bring me. And again, if you think I'm lying about any of this, like go look at any of my videos where I've been at an expo and just look in the background, and against the wall is just a mound of sour candy because people would bring Christian energy drinks and they would bring me sour candy. Whether it be just because they know I like candy, they'd bring me candy from their country, their state. Man, have you tried this? They knew I liked sour. So it was like perfect fit, right? It wasn't this, okay, I guess he's talked about this once or twice, or it wasn't like just something to make money from. It was, I'm a product of my environment, right? Like I'm obsessed with this. I've talked about it for years. So then when I launched it, it was like the reasoning behind why I launched it was there's X, Y, and Z reasons why I think there can be improvements in this industry. Here's what I've done, with this brand to improve it. For a lot of reasons. I mean, from the product, from the coolness of the brand, from the packaging, from the availability of it, right? Because a lot of times, like if there's a great candy someone knows about, but you can only get it at this one store inside the mall over here, like you got to go here. But I was like, what's good is that? Like, let's create a brand that's great, that is everywhere. So it just like made sense. And I think people start products now because I think the landscape has shifted in terms of influencers understanding that the horizon of like influencing and whatnot, like, yes, there's money to be made. Yes, there's longevity. Some people last longer than others in this space. But like, what are you doing beyond that? And how do you create something that's bigger? And then they start seeing all these brands that have success and everyone kind of gets behind it. And a lot of people are pulling like, okay, like well, what can I launch type of thing, right? Like, what can I launch rather than I launched this not as a big business strategy. It was just like, oh, this would be a cool idea. Let me launch this. And then I just kind of figured it out, right? There's no partners. There was no investors. There was no, I'm going to be the face of this and someone else is going to, who's been in the industry for this amount of time is going to like run the brand and I'll just leverage my audience and I'll approve flavors. Every decision on that packaging, every decision up until the Hershey acquisition has been because I gave it the final approval, like me, and came up with this idea. I mean, like the boxes of what it goes in, I'm like measuring how big the boxes are. It's not like, hey, what's the gold standard? I don't know. I'm just going to measure and figure it out, right? So
it's awesome. Later on in this episode, Max is going to share a story about why cash flow is so important for businesses and how without it, he wouldn't have been able to scale the brand and get into Target.
Payment terms are awful. We all know 30, 60, 90 days. I mean, it's actually insane that they even exist. And as a freelancer or as a business owner, you guys know how important cash flow is to maintain everything going on. Thankfully, we have an amazing resource. We got Hydrant Pay that's sponsoring this episode. Essentially what Hydrant Pay does is they advance your invoice 95% upfront in 24 hours, and they go deal with the 30, 60, 90-day payment terms. So whether you're a vendor and you're looking to get this for people that are in your company, or you're a freelancer and you're working with different jobs, this is a perfect resource for you. They will pay you the invoice 95% upfront, and they'll go deal with the payment terms later. I highly recommend you check them out. It's the top link down in the description.
Sounds like payment terms are dead.
Deader than a doornail. Hydrantpay.com. Go check them out. First link in the description. Let's keep it rolling. Do you think that is also what has allowed it to get to where it's at? Because I think many of the creator-led brands to be transparent, they're just not really in them, right? Yeah. They are just talking about them, or they're just showing them in the vlog or showing them on their pod, whatever the thing may be. Is that a main driving factor when you reflect back on it? It's because every single thing that I'm looking at in front of me is because you had like a hand in it. You know what I mean?
I think there's two different strategies, right? Just to say, like, while I do take a lot of pride in knowing that I was boots on the ground, like from every facet from starting the company to selling the company, I had involvement in like everything, every critical decision, right? Every problem had to be solved by me and my team. It wasn't someone was like, hey, there's a problem, I figured it out type of thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with you leveraging your audience and not being it, because I kind of fell in the fitness space specifically. It's almost like the whole I'm an entrepreneur is this like, it's weird, like in the fitness space, maybe it's probably because a lot of like Christian and whatnot, but like the entrepreneur is like, that's what everyone wants the content around. It wasn't like I have like a product. It's like people want you to be like, I run these businesses. I am this business guy, right? And I kind of fell into this. So I think people generally do it because, I mean, running a company is drastically different than being a face of a company, right? Managing employees is crazy. Managing the cash flow of a multi-million-dollar like company by yourself is like no small undertaking, right? Even with Sour Strips, I never hired anyone from experience. Every single person that works for me came in because they replied to my story who wanted to help pack orders on like the earlier days, right? I never hired a CFO to manage my finances. I literally handled of like, should we spend the money on this, or like negotiating the finances, the business. 100% of those were done by me, like the entirety of the company. I never hired anyone, and that's not to be like to prove anything, but it shows that you can do it. And I think what Sour Strips also has that's really different is because I was doing it, I was able to show my audience, and people got behind this kind of like David versus Goliath type of thing where, hey, I go buy X, Y, and Z product. I don't know who I'm supporting, right? Whatever. And not only is like, hopefully you like the product, and whether you think it's superior or not, like I really stand behind Sour Strips and I think it's a great product, but you kind of get behind this. I'm showing you building it. I'm showing you the upsides, the downsides, the stresses, the warehouse expansions, the hey guys, we saved like 5 cents a box because we moved, got rid of this like 1 inch on the box. Oh, I'm going to this warehouse. Man, this is like a huge, I don't know if like we should go into this warehouse. It's like they got involved in the story, and it wasn't like part of the master plan. It was because I was doing it, right? Like I was just filming what I was doing. Hey guys, we got into HEB. Let's go. I'm going to show you. Let's pick the camera. I'm going to go to the back of the warehouse. I'm going to take the product into the store, put it in the system. I'm going to stock the shelves. Like I'm not doing it as a promo. Like, hey, I'm look at me. I'm doing stuff. Like because I had to do it. Like someone had to stock the shelf, and I was like, I want to learn what that process is, and I did it. Like we could have shipped it to the HEBs around it, but every HEB that would get an order, like the one that was kind of near my house, I was like, I'll just take it. Like I'll take it and I'll stock it, not drop it off. And like they'll stock it, like I get to input it in the system in the back, into the computer, like sign all the documents, put it on a dolly, stock it on the shelves, put it in the overflow section, like so. And it wasn't like a camera crew filming me around. It's like me with my little GoPro. Like
that's wild.
So people just got behind it, and on top of all of that, it's a cool brand, and it's a good product.
You allowed people to get behind a movement, and I feel like all those little wins that you had along the way, it felt like it was their win as well.
Yeah.
If they supported you, they want this product to succeed and they want to see you win. And by creating that movement and involving them in every step of the way, it's like your audience felt like, oh, we won too.
Yeah.
I want to take it back though. Obviously you've tried a shitload of candy and you've realized what's wrong with everything else and you've made your perfect candy. That first sample that you got, how long did it take you from the first sample to finished product? This is good enough to go to market to? Like, what was that process like?
I guess from when I started the concept of the brand to when the brand launched, and even since then we've changed manufacturers. But from point A of like, I I think I'm going to try to do a candy company, right? And again, how did you find manufacturers? I'll tell you, Googling candy manufacturer, candy bulk manufacturer, manufacturers near me, confectionery manufacturer. Hello, do you do this? Do you do this? Like, can I get samples? No. Okay. Hello. Do you respond? Like emailing, calling all these ones. So we went through probably 3 to 4 different, I guess, sources, manufacturers, some internationally, some domestically. And what we found is a lot of manufacturers. A lot of times, I realized early on, because I started the concept, tried to build the brand. I actually had some people that I was like gonna help me, because I was like, I'll be the face, right? Because I looked around, I was like, I can't do this, and then it kind of fizzled out, and then the idea kind of flatlined while I was moving to Texas, and then I was like, I'm gonna try to figure this out, and then I started kind of the idea back. And what I learned was the manufacturers had these like crazy minimums of what you had to do to produce, right? And especially if you wanted to do something custom. It's kind of like when you if you were to start a clothing company, right? 9 times out of 10, and everyone would suggest you do this, you start with a generic bulk product, right? You see if the brand has traction, and then you move to cut and sew overseas manufacturing, right? Like that's like the most common way to do it, because a lot of times, like if you try to start going internationally, the minimums are like, you need to make 500 t-shirts, and you're like, I just want 30. They're like, we're not going to make it, like it'd be astronomical price, right? So it's same kind of thing with like food. I found was to make, whether it be a super custom product, to make adjustments to like a base product, because again, unless you're like inventing like a new candy type, generally what you're doing is you're taking the companies have experience in producing, whether it be a gummy, a licorice, a hard candy, right? Like whatever the bases are, they're all kind of deviations from, a sour worm to a gummy bear to a hard candy to a, whatever. Like they're all like bases, and then they're just adjusted. That's why there's multiple brands of gummy bears, right? It's because there's iterations and variations of them based on a base. So generally what you're trying to do is find a base, like the company can do it, and then you're trying to make improvements on that product, right? Like I want to change this. So then it becomes this custom thing that you're doing, right? I didn't invent belt candy. I didn't invent bite-sized candy, right? What you do is you find manufacturers who have expertise in these fields, and then you make improvements on them. And early on, you either got denied of the ability to change anything if you didn't like it, or the constraint of, hey, like early on, so I actually wanted to start the company to create bites size candy, actually.
That was number one.
That was the original concept behind starting a candy company, was going to be a bite-sized product like that. Like it was actually, I wanted to call it just strips with like a Z. And then that's where like the brain started going like, oh, they're sour strips. And so I kind of going down this path. But a lot of times you'd get things like, and I have like these old photos on my phone where I get these samples where I'd, get the samples and I pull it out, and like the one piece would be like stuck to all of these other pieces. And I was like, hey, I'm noticing they're like sticking together, or I'm noticing that like when I touch it, it's like the residue is kind of like sticking on my hand more than just like, yeah, I get sugars can be on there, but it's almost like wet, like condensation type of thing. And sometimes you get pushback of like, we sell a lot of this base product and have no issue. And like, like this is we don't need to change this, or we can't change, we're not going to change this, and
that's because you were small, you think. They were just like, you're not ordering 100,000.
Well, because you're basically saying that like, hey, your base is not
Kinda
very
sucks.
good. I want to change it. And they're trying to say like, no, it's not, right? And so eventually we got to a manufacturer that had a product that was like, I was like, this is fantastic, right? I was acceptable at it. And then what we ran into over the years is constraints of the size of that manufacturer, the ability to scale. Like we got to which is crazy to think, but like we got to a point where one of the biggest reasons why we changed manufacturers a couple years ago was that we outgrew this manufacturer who had been around for like a long time. And I thought that was just wild. Like the fact that came in with like this bare minimum, and to get to the point where you're scaling to the point where they're like, hey, we can't supply you with as much as you want to do because of X, Y, and Z reason. And I was like, well, I'm not going to limit my business because you either going to grow with me or I need to get out, right? And so even when we switched manufacturers and adjusted and like changed the entire formula of like the product, right? That was a huge risk in the company, right? But I trusted in my ability to go, hey, we have to make this decision, which I never really disclosed that we outgrew the company, but I was like, I have to make this change, right? Like the company is either going to hit this ceiling and I'll live in this ceiling forever, and or I make this night and day jump, right? And I change a bunch of things and I, basically start over while I'm 4 years deep, and people rarely do that, or they usually can go under because they do a drastic change and people hate it. But I was like, we have to do this to like scale the business. And it was probably the biggest decision while I was, still running the company. And
did you get to keep that original formula, or do you have to start from fresh at the new spot?
Well, a lot of times like you want to change things, right? Because a lot of times I felt like a lot of, whether it be flavor profiles, a lot of the textures or the ability to do certain things like need to be changed. And some manufacturers don't have the same access to maybe some of the same, like the way you make the candy, right? If you make a gummy bear at, manufacturer A, gummy bear at manufacturer B, they might have like their own different processes. And unless you're about to invest into, maybe they have different machinery that gets you the same yield result, right? But the machinery of an extrusion machine might be slightly different, and the process from A to Z is different, right? And so unless you're willing to invest, like, hey, I want to order these same machines, these same extrusion machines, do this to like replicate it one-to-one. But I looked at when we switched manufacturers as this ability to tweak the things that while I love the kind of like, the product that we used originally, I looked at this opportunity to like be able to like kind of like start over and change things, whether it be from a formula perspective or like a taste profile, or the texture, softer, whatever. So the customization was significantly more than what we were able to do. And even the current manufacturer tried to keep us and was like, we can do X, Y, and Z. We can do all these custom things. Like we can do blah, 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 blah. But I had already kind of made this decision. And, we got a lot of pushback when I made that, because I knew when we changed, I was like, okay, this is what went through my head. I was like, we're going to get one of three pushbacks on this, right? You're going to get group A that goes, wow, this is so much better. I love it more than the original. That's what you hope, right? B is, wow, I hate this compared to the original. I'm never eating this again. You hope that's the minimal. And then you have group three. I guess there's four. And then the third was what with someone like me is like, products change over time, right? And we've experienced this throughout. Like you're like, oh, this is kind of different, right? And if you don't love it even more or hate it and never going to go back to it, you fall in this other category, which is kind of like, hey, I maybe have preferred the other one, but I think this one is also really good. And if this is like the future of what it is, I'm totally fine with eating this, right? Like I like both of them, right? Type of thing. And I was hoping that a lot of people would. I was like, I think that'll be the majority of the group, right? And then the other way that I thought about it too is like, if we're changing this, and yeah, we're in 25 at the time, maybe like 20,000 locations. I looked at it, I go, okay, if we're in like 20,000 doors and X amount of people have eaten it, you have like almost 250, 300,000 doors to be able to get into the United States. I go, there's the amount of people that have not tried it eclipses people who have tried it. And I still am confident that it's a great product, although different than the original. So the people that haven't tried it will then make their own decision of just, do I like this candy or do I not like this candy? They're not comparing it, right? So it was just like, it was something that had to happen. That was a super stressful time. And then even the original launch of it was, honestly, it was not accurate. They kind of like messed up the sour potency of it. So then I came out with something that wasn't what I was supposed to. And it was like this whole thing, but I was like really as transparent as like you can be on social of like, this wasn't what it was supposed to be. So I just want you all to understand this, and we're changing, and like in like 2 months, you'll be able to notice the difference. And now it's to a point where it's exactly what we want to be. And I'm always like making like minor adjustments here and there. But yeah, it's been like quite a big journey. And again, even those decisions to change this, should you do it? When should you do it? How should you roll it out? How do you like rotate that amount of product and like when do you launch it is like, again, I didn't have like advisors telling me to this, people in the CPG business. It's like me and whatever employee I decide at the time to be like, hey, we manage this. Here's how I'm thinking of doing this. Like, how do we roll this out? So it was just like a lot of like really big decision makings that were like critical for the success of the business. And looking back, it was the single greatest thing I ever did in the company.
How stressful was seeing the P&L statement once it was like switched over and like seeing the DMs maybe on the Sour Strips account or your account where you like, oh my God.
Yeah. The initial pushback was like, cause again, I visually, so not only would I knew people would be able to tell the difference. So I wasn't trying to like hide that it was different. And then I changed all the coloring, like the order of like the color. So I was like, I wanted it to visually look different. And, the initial pushback, cause at first it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And then you got the people who did not like it were very vocal about it, right? You know, but the problem is you see those comments.
Those are the biggest ones. They're the
and
loudest.
You think that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
But I feel like I had a lot of skills of what helped Sour Strips grow. But like one of the greatest advantages that I had was every decision that I made, like was this gut thing, but every decision that I made was based on as a candy consumer who has eaten a lot of candy, who really likes it, who is really like analytically scrutinize like every experience of opening it, tasting it. How does it make me like everything about sour candy? I did it from a perspective of the consumer, of me being the consumer. It wasn't like what's the best business move. It was like what's the best business move, but also like I'm the guy who's buying this stuff, right? I didn't launch a business that I thought would be good. I'm a candy lover, right? So I was able to I bet on my opinion of what I felt that the majority of people would respond based on how I would respond. And that's probably not the best, but I just felt like that I have consumed, as this is like weird to say, is like I felt like I was such a candy loving expert at sour candy that I think for the masses that my opinion on sour candy should apply to the majority of people who like sour candy.
You're like, I'm the gold standard.
Essentially, like
it's funny that you say that because I think of both you and Christian.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Christian was able to build the best gym in North America, potentially the world, is because he's a bodybuilder like at his core.
Yep.
When he's thinking about how to build a gym, he's like, I know exactly what machine should be here, what the layout should be like, because I live it. And you're the same way. You're like, I eat candy fucking every day. I know it better than anybody else. Sour is my shit.
Yep.
I'm going to make the best thing. And if you disagree with me, you're just wrong.
And honestly, like when you say it like that, it sounds crazy, right? But that's what I like truly believe. And again, like that is why I feel sour. I mean, it's little things of, like the reason there's a viewing window on that bag is because there's another brand, which I won't mention, that I used to eat a ton in college, loved it. It's a sour candy. They took away the viewing window on their packaging, and I would always hate because then you'd open it, and then sometimes it'd be like a wet consistency. So when I did this, I was like, something that I love is when I can physically see a product that I'm about to consume, because then when I'm looking at the candy, I'm like, oh, like my mouth's starting to salivate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it looks good. It looks sour. Because if it looks like, but the downside is if your product manufacturing is shit, all your flaws are going to be shown in the viewing window, right? So like every detail was the experience that I wanted as a candy consumer. Again, reseal. I mean, these are our larger bags, but even our smaller bags.
The resealable thing is huge. That's
huge.
like actually massive.
Because the only go look at anyone, again, unless it's someone that started after us, the only people that did resealability was larger pack size, share sizes, maybe 5 ounces and above. But in the call it 2.5 to 4.5, 5 ounce range, which is like generally like your usually 3 to 4 servings is like the standard of like a regular bag of candy, right? Usually 3.5. So no one did resealable. And what's the frustration you'd experience over the years? It's like you rip the bag and you try to rip the corner and it goes the whole way down the bag. And then you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this, right? Or like, like or the candy then gets stale. You're trying to roll it up. It goes in your bag, and then the sugar fucking gets everywhere. You know, your girl throws it in her purse, and it's like all the gummy worms are at the bottom of the bag. And again, so it's like, you'd think it's like, put a resealable. You wanna know why people don't do that? Because it's really expensive and it's really complex to get a product like a sour belt in a resealable bag, right? It's a process. So like there's reasonings why companies don't do it, because the cost is astronomical, or the custom machinery, right?
Take us through what is just the resealable bag? Like how much does that end up impacting how much it has to like go into the cost of everything? Do you have an idea of what that is?
I mean, yeah, I know all the specifics. I can't like get.
Okay,
I can't
don't
like say
worry. The actual
but
number.
I would say to do a resealable bag versus what you'd call like a fin seal flow wrap bag, which is what, if you grab any bag of gummy worms or whatever, it's called a fin seal because it's like a shark fin, but that on the back of the bag, there's like a little flap in the middle, right? You sometimes have to lift up to see the rest of the things. And what that is because when it goes through what it's called a flow wrapping machine, the bag is actually like this flat on a roll, and it's wrapped around the product, and then it's sealed like with this fin seal, right? But with ours, I would say just the bag cost alone is probably, it's going to sound a lot, but it's probably like 10 times more expensive, like 7 to 10 times more expensive for this flow wrap bag, which comes on a roll of 10,000 or 100,000, right? That just fed into the machine, versus these bags with the zipper. And then there's a million different types of zipper, because also on the edge of the bag, there's a thing called a crush, right? So the little flat part of the side of the bag, right? To put the zipper, you know, you don't have the zipper that goes to the very edge of the bag, right? Because it has to have the crush where the bag is sealed on the side, or I guess it's sealed on the top. But when they make the bag, because it's individually made, it's not on a roll. The bag is on the side, or it's crushed on the side. So the zipper is in between those crushes. So the zipper depicts like how wide the opening is to get your hand in, right? So in order to get it on a roll machine, you would need to use a different type of zipper. But because I'm getting like technical here.
No, I love it.
Because the crush sleeve is like, or the crush zone is like different on a flow wrapping one, if you were to like put this exact same bag on a roll, the crush zone is a lot greater, right? And you could have a zipper. What that makes the opening of the bag a lot smaller, so your hand can't get in there. So to make it on a cheaper bag, the bag would have to be like, you'd have to add like an inch to the bag to make up for that width, or you have to use like which we have not done, or at least this stage, like there's a completely different type of zipper that applies to the entire sleeve, where it's almost like a Velcro type of experience. So just everything about sour strips is like, there's a purpose or a reason why it is or isn't like that. And it's because I decided that it should or shouldn't be on there. And so that's what's like cool about it. And even when we started, if you ever had one of the original bags of sour strips, the viewing window is like massive, because when we started, I was like, let's have this massive viewing window. Problem I ran into, and every time you change these graphics, it's like you have to get a new plate fee. And so if you want to change a color, that's okay. But if you're changing the design or a word or something, it's a new plate, because they have to make it. Every plate is like $900. So when you make a bag, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for one bag. And if you want to change, like I want to make the window like go from here to like right there, like just a little bit, that's a completely different design, $1,000. And I probably changed it like 7 times because I realized the viewing window, although great, when the candy would sit in there, unless it would sit perfectly, you'd have these little like areas in the bag where it was like blank space, and I hated visually. No one commented about this, but I'm like, I hate how, unless it's sitting perfect, hung, but if it's laying, it's like you can see this empty space in the bag. So I wanted to make the window so that it was just the candy in there. Even the bites, the reason the window, we originally had the like the flavor name, you'll notice the flavor name is above the viewing window, right? Specific reason for that, because when I sampled having the viewing window below, the candy is filled to the half of the bag. And what I realized, I was like, once you eat like 5 or 6 pieces, you start seeing blank space. And I was like, I don't want that. So I moved the viewing window to the top so that you could eat like a serving or so before you started seeing blank space, just so it like doesn't look visually like empty and whatever. So again, like everything has a very specific purpose. And it wasn't like, hey, I sent it to this company and they, based on, analytical data, and here's all the PowerPoint of like presenting, it's like, nope, I think this is like stupid looking, and it's like, let's change it. Oh, it's gonna be 1,000. And every decision that I made like financially in the company, because again, I managed the money from day one until I sold the company. So every financial decision was made on like a gut feeling, not because, well, based on the P&L of this, I have these receivables coming in this month and I'll be able to do it and this will affect my margin by this much. None of that. None of how this is going to affect anything. I go, this needs to change. Okay, I know there's some money in the bank. I don't know that like the data of how much this is going to affect the P&L. It was just like, this needs to happen. Let's do it and just keep trying to scale the brand. So I tried to make the brand as good as it could and just hope that the money would kind of come in. I didn't make decisions based on the finances, if that makes sense.
Hearing you talk about it and hearing your passion, it's no secret the reason this brand has become what it has become and is so successful. And it's really refreshing because I think that's the beauty of what could be a creator-led brand if they're really in the weeds with it.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that's authentic to them in the sense of you love candy. It makes sense that you made a candy brand because you love candy. You can focus on those details and make the product actually as good as it possibly can.
As minute as possible.
Yeah.
And what I want to stress is like, while I do take pride, a lot of pride that I did what I did with my team and was able to accomplish and was so hands-on because I fell in love with the business of it as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with not doing this, right? But what I look at is, I was like, if I have a conversation about my brand with anyone, I want to be able to have a conversation with it. I don't want to be like, oh, I don't know that. Oh, I don't know this. Oh, this guy does this. Like, yeah, you have employees that maybe you don't know like the technicality of like the optimization of the warehouse, but like from an overall, like I should be able to talk about my brand of like why it's like this. Hey, what's X, Y, and Z? And so if I talk to another founder or something and I'm asking these questions, like maybe broad questions, and they're like, oh, actually, I don't really know. Like, I'm like, and I'd be like, what do you mean you don't know? Right? Like, and I'm like,
yeah, it's yours.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Right. So, but again, it's two different business strategies,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
It's just two different, like some people don't want to, and I understand it, like don't want to do run a business because it's a whole different skill set. Maybe people just want to focus on content, but I think there's a reason why people with huge followings, not necessarily in candy, but other products with huge followings that are 10 times mine, right? Millions of views, right? Never had a success that maybe Sour Strips did, right? I think the authenticity of the product, the showing the business, not just like, guys, we got some samples in, I'm trying these samples, approving it, right? Like, so I think that's attributed to the success like a lot. And I've been extremely like, you could watch any of my videos and I've shown the exact blueprint, right? From September 9th of 2019 to, when I sold the company in November of last year, like nearly every video, it's like every step of the way, every step. Here's me installing racks in the warehouse. Here's me touring the warehouse. Here's me like, we're getting forklift certified, like everything. I've like shown it.
I do want to talk about your marketing strategy of not having yourself as like the face of the brand. Like,
because I'm not popular enough. Really.
But the decision to have the branding and the marketing behind Sour Strips separate from you as a creator, and your decision to do that, which then allowed it to go on to grow as big as it did.
Yeah, that was a early on decision. It even stems back when I used to make clothing. I had a company called Everford Apparel, which I ran for like 7 years and ended up shutting it down January of last year because Sour Strips just was way bigger of a focus. When I launched that clothing brand, which I was one of the first to do this like overseas manufacturing for a separate brand in the YouTube fitness space. Most people did like merch or like screen printed stuff. But when I did this, you were able to create like custom hang tags because I went this route of customization. And on the original hang tags, it was Everford on the front, and on the back, I was like, I'll get people to come to my YouTube channel. I put, youtube.com/Maxx Chewning on the back, right? And after like a couple months, I was like, I feel like this is kind of tacky. Like I feel like this is the brand. Like it doesn't need, whether or not it's actually helping my channel or not. But I was like, I don't want me on there. I think this is like tacky. It's like, is it a brand or is it like me with my face? I had my little deadlift silhouette on the back of it. I can show you the hang tag in the office. So I like early on I had that decision. And then when Sour Strips, I made the decision. I was like, this needs, like as it started growing, even early on, like I was, what I thought was really popular in the space, in the fitness space. Again, I never was I'm like an influencer that is like known in my community of the fitness world, right? But the Casey Neistat has no idea who I am, right? I'm not like Marquis says, no idea who I am, but all those creators, even if they haven't met them, know who they are, right? Like I'm like in this little pocket of a bubble of the fitness world. So I knew I wasn't as popular enough for like to put my likeness, face, whatever on there, but it was almost like this strategy early on. So besides being in the launch photo on Sour Strips, if you go back to the first like Sour Strips photo, maybe in the first or second photo of when we had people was like announcing, it's like me, Heidi, and Mona, who I said works with me. Besides that photo, I am not in any other photos on the page, right? I've never put founded by Maxx Chewning in the bio, ever. Never did that. Even with Sour Strips, no marketing of it was like, had my face on it, likeness on it, like founded by Maxx Chewning, on like a promo strip at a store. One, I don't think I was well known enough to make that have an impact. And I think it would have done two things. One, it would have like, I think again, tackied up the brand. It's like, I want the brand to succeed because I know that it is a fantastic product, not because like that's why like, something that I found interesting is like if you go on YouTube and you type in like, reviewing influencer products or trying influencer brands, Colin and Samir have done these a lot, like all these. Sour Strips is never mentioned ever, right? And all these new products come out of influencers, Sour Strips never mentioned, right? And I think it's because they have no idea who I am, right? They have no idea that it's maybe a creator-led brand or I'm not like large enough. And I always found it interesting where I'm like, man, there's all these influencer products, like why they never mention Sour Strips, right? I've never even met these people, so it's not like they don't like me, but like, well, maybe. But, I was like, they don't know. I was like, I want Sour Strips to succeed because it's a really good product and it's a really cool brand, right? And yeah, I can drive a ton of people to Target the day it launches and sell it out, right? I can sell out a gas station and it's like, now it's in, Alabama, go to this Alabama squad. Like, I can do all that, but like, there's a difference of selling out a store the first week, the first day, the first month, right? First 2 months. You want the random people walking down the aisle to get this, right? And yes, the random people walking down will maybe be like, oh, my son follows this person, or oh, I see this guy on the YouTube machine, right? Like, oh, let me get this, my kid will like it because I know that influencer, right? I wanted it to be the candy lovers go into the aisle and go, because the way that Sour Strips works, in my opinion, and again, I don't have any data to back this up.
I love the note. I really love the no data thing. I really do.
The what?
The no data. You're just like, dude, this is my experience and like as a candy buyer myself.
Well, the reason why I was like, I think Sour Strips would be successful is because I go, as a candy fanatic, since I've been like 10 years old, I have walked down the candy aisle of every gas station, every store ever to this day. When I go in the gas station to get a drink, I just walk down the candy aisle. I mean, even more now. So, but the problem you have is if you love candy, it's not like the energy drink space where every time you go in there, there is like 17 new products to try, right? It's all the same brands, and every now and then it might be like a very like a new version of the worm or a new thing, but so you always know what you're gonna get, and then when there's something new, you notice it and you try it. And generally, I found, especially when it came to sour, I'd be disappointed, right? I'd be like, they'd be like, new extreme sour, like 9 meter, and you'd even be like, what the fuck is this, bro? And you'd be like, who's signing off on this, right? Who's like, yep, nailed it. This is the best we can do. So what I found, that was the joke. When I try candy, I'd say this in my videos, I go, there's no world that they ate this and they're like, You know what, Johnson? Put a 9 out of 10 on the sour meter. I am just puckered up, okay? No, we got Susie from accounting. She also thinks this is great, right? Like, I was like, who's approving this?
Shit.
So the idea was like, if you walk down the candy aisle, you notice when there's something new because it's not very often, right? This is my experience over 20 years of eating candy. And when there was something new, you would try it. So I knew if I could just get sour strips in front of it, I go, if you like candy, but again, this is just because this is what I do. I assume people are like me. I was like, you will try it because you'll notice that it's there because you know everything that's there.
And the branding is so different.
And it's different with the white packaging.
Yeah.
So I was like, all I need people to do is try this candy. And if you like sour candy, I think it's my favorite. And I think it's a fantastic product, right? It may not be everyone's favorite sour candy, but I think if you like sour candy, I think you would be lying if you say sour strips is not a good sour candy, period. Like, I think it hits all the notes of what a sour candy should be, whether or not you want it to be more extreme sour, maybe you this, that, but I don't think you can deny that it's a good product.
Like, if you're in the mood for something sour, this is gonna hit.
Correct. I think objectively it's a good product.
It reminds me of the. Do you see the Uber documentary?
I've not.
Yeah, it's so fucking good.
So
you should watch it. You'd really like it.
There's a scene where the guy who started Uber is named Travis, and he's talking to this guy who's investing in him, and he goes, "How sticky is the product?" Meaning, like, how likely is someone to try it and then do it again?
Yeah.
He goes, "You ride with us twice, you're a customer for life."
That's exactly what it was.
And so I feel like for you, it's like, yo, you try this once, oh, we got you.
That's what I was saying.
Is
Is so when you walk down, you'll notice it's there. And if I can get you to try it, I think 9 times out of 10, you'll go, this is good. This is probably slightly better than the other sour brands that are in this category. And I think if I can get you to try it, I think you'll be hooked. And so I just needed people to try it one time. So that is why I didn't need me to put my likeness on it. Like, yes, that helped. And like, yeah, my YouTube audience absolutely 100% helped, right? Which I built for 7 years to be able to have the ease of launching this kind of thing. But I go, sour strips will live on its own because it's that good, right? It's okay. And I'm buying it because I'm supporting like this guy I really like, right? I go, maybe they want to support me, but it's a good product. So I wasn't focused on, I wanted my audience to help, right? Which they absolutely did. But beyond that, you need the random people. And that is a long story to get to the point of like, sour strips was created so that the random candy consumer like me, or even less than, right? Like less than of like, maybe I'm not obsessed like Max is, but like you'll notice it. And when you try it, I bet you'll like it. And that was the whole thing of where we went into this, sour strips is priced higher than other brands, right? Unless you're in like the better for you type of candy. The pricing was because I couldn't compete with selling it for $1 a bag starting the brand. I would have never been able to scale the company.
Were people upset about that in the beginning? Were you transparent about it? Because we know how that works, obviously. Like even with the drink brands, it costs so much to ship them. I'm just curious, like what those conversations were like from people.
Well, here's again a big brain move of why I thought it wasn't going to be a problem was I knew, because when I first launched this, I actually asked one of the people that actually started like Prime and all these. I like ran this idea and I was like, hey, here's the pricing for it. He's like, it'll never work. I'm like, why? He's like, distributors need it for this price. You have to make it for this price because, all the other people sell it to this. I was like, well, bro, I will never be able to, I'll never be able to, let alone make money, but never be able to scale it. Like it costs me this to make it, right? Because your margins, we've been profitable since day one and we've gotten better, but like I was skating razor thin for a while, but I would have been like, I made a penny every bag I sell, right? So he was like, it'll never work. And I was like, I think it will, because I go, same type of way of like, I think people will go down the aisle. I think they'll see it because if it's not every day there's a new one, I think they'll like it. And in my opinion, I go, I need to sell it for slightly more than the other ones because I cannot compete on like price differentiation. I couldn't compete like selling this for $1. Like, and I remember the first gas station I went into, it's called Star Stop. There's like 100 of them around Houston. One of my buddies, his like uncle owns the chain, and he's like an old school like businessman, like this uncle. And I remember going in there trying to kind of pitch to these stores, and he like says it and he sees the pricing of it, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna sell for like $329, $349. He's like, hold on. And he goes and he gets like a bag of like gummy worms or something. And he's like, yours is 3.4 ounces. Like this is 5 ounces. This is $2. Like why would anyone spend more to get less? And I go, because I think it's a really good product. And I go, if I was, even before I started doing well for myself, even back then, if you like really good candy, I know you'll try it. So even if it's like a little bit more expensive, I know you'll try it. And if you think it's a superior product, like I believe you will, I believe that most consumers will be willing to spend the extra dollar because it's worth that amount. I think it's worth the extra price, right? So I did it because I had to, and I believe that it would succeed because I think that people will be willing to pay a little bit more for a product that hopefully they like more, right?
It's also just in my head, correct me if I'm wrong, and this might make me sound a little out of touch, but $1 is not nearly as much as maybe making a t-shirt that you're like, I'm gonna charge $90 for this t-shirt. It's much better quality. Most people aren't gonna be spending $90 on a t-shirt.
In the world, like, you know, people are so used to, you know, they look at sour strips and they see it $3.49. They look at a bag of gummy worms. I keep using gummy worms, but like, you know, and it's $1 or $2. And they're like, I get more for this. But again, if you try it, if you like sour, you're like, I kind of like this better. I was like, I bet even if you're a college kid on a budget or, you know, a younger kid, like you'd be like, I'm willing to pay that extra $1. And that is just what I bet on. I bet that people would not complain about it. Yeah. And it would continue to move. And if I had tried to compete on price, I never would have been able to scale the company. When
you finally get into like Target, do they stick you on the bottom shelf and you have to claw your way up to get higher up, or how does that whole thing work? Because obviously, I mean, whole thing's being seen. Right?
Yeah.
And our eyeballs are average dudes probably like, or gal 5'8" to 5'2" or something.
And you want to be like in the middle in like the eye zone, right? Okay, so there's some depth to this. So sour strips, a lot of the success that it had was because, again, right time, great product. We got to that part, right? But the reason then it blew up because of not only are we sick, right? We're super cool, and everyone was talking about it in end of 2019, but then COVID happened, right? And COVID, although a wild period of time, was actually probably one of the single greatest things to happen for sour strips because everyone's at home. Our online sales just went through the roof, right? Which is, we're making all this, you know, in the business world, margin, right? So I'm making like essentially hand over foot, but my margins are super thin, but like I'm not in really stores. So our popularity and awareness is going through the roof because of short form TikTok. Everyone's ordering online. So we're making a bunch of money. And again, I'm not out buying Lambos and shit. I'm just like going back in the business account. And so our popularity and revenue is going really scaling really high. So our awareness is going through the roof. And, you know, people are not going into stores, right? So then, and this is just my perception of it. Who knows if this is actually what actually happened, but this is what I assumed happened. Popularity. And then when COVID started being like, okay, people are going out in the stores, out in the world. In my opinion, I was like, now retailers are trying to get people back into stores, right? And so because our awareness, stores, like whether you're a buyer or just like a category buyer for like their whole chain or maybe just your store or whatever, they're all these category buyers are looking to boost, you know, themselves on, you know, their manager, right? So they want their category or their section to boom. They want their stores to boom because then I'm assuming again that they're probably gonna benefit, whether it be commission raises because they're doing better at their job, like look how much money I'm bringing in the company type of thing. So they're always looking to bring in like the new hot thing. And so every store that we have gotten into, they have contacted us. So I never had a sales team. Every store that Sour Strips has gotten into up until the sale has gone to an email that went to me first. I decided like, yes, I want to do this. I started the conversation with every single store that went in. And I remember getting the email in October of 2020 from, I got an @Target email and through our portal. And I go, oh my God, fucking Target, right? And I remember posting it on my social media and like blurred out everything, but I was like, Target reached out to us. And it said like, we've seen you online. We're interested in like testing you in stores. You know, here's my information, like email me and we'll set up a meeting. I was like, I posted that. An hour later, I'm not even fucking kidding, bro. An hour later, I get an email from Walmart that's like, we're interested in bringing this in. Please don't post this on social media. It's like,
Shut up!
and I'm like, they're watching my shit. And then, right. So we got into these like behemoths like right out of the gate. So again, the reason I'm kind of saying all this is like, so again, stores are like trying to get that big thing because they want their category, their managers to be happy. And so what Target saw was like this booming brand, right? They're about to do their reset, which new products, like they kind of can, but generally for you to get into the shelf in the aisle, that happens like once a year, maybe twice a year. But it's
what time period out of curiosity?
It fluctuates.
Oh, fluctuates.
So Target like used to be like June resets. Now they've shifted to like September, which some new stuff's coming in September to Target. Just saying. So they do these resets once a year, but they talk to you like 10 months before, and then you have this time to prepare and all these things. So it's when a store takes you to when you actually get in the store is a long it's a really complex process. So they talked with us and they're trying to get this like new age, like booming brand into the stores. So when they originally were going to like test us, they were like, we're going to get you in like 700 stores, right? And they have like 1,900. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's great, right? And then like 4 months before we actually went in, they're like, actually, we're going to bump you up to, I think it was 1,300.
Now, okay, for someone listening, and me specifically,
it was 1,700.
1,300 stores. They have how many? You said 17
like
or
1,900.
1,900? Is that normal?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, generally, if you were to get a test in a store, let's say even a Target, I would say on average, you're probably going to get, I think on the low end, it'd be like 100 stores. I think on the normal, it'd probably be like 100 to 300, 100 to 500, because again, they're just testing. So they'll put you in like the larger stores. You're not going to be in maybe like the center of New York because that's like a smaller store. They're putting you in bigger ones, give you like the best chance they're testing you. And then you'll be able to like get into more stores. But Target really believed, because they're not only trying to get people back in from COVID, again, this is just what I'm assuming, getting people back in from COVID, this brand's booming. So we got three? It might've been two, but 2 or 3 SKUs, which generally maybe you try like one. They got.
And does a SKU mean like this is a SKU?
Yes,
right?
one flavor. So
one
3
flavor.
flavors,
Okay.
2 or 3 flavors. And so I think it was 1,700 stores. Yeah, we went from like, it was like, you're going to get in, test into like 350 to like 1,700. It was crazy.
Wow.
And so to answer your question of where you go on the shelf is like when they do something like that, they want to kind of give you the best chance. And so they put us like right in the middle. And also what helped our growth is because during COVID, you look at these other big brands. And again, I'm just assuming all this. You look at all these other big brands, if they're in 300,000 stores and I'm in like 500, right? When COVID happened, their supply chains messing everyone up. So they have to ration out product to everyone, right? But I can, if Target's like our only big customer, I can just funnel all product into there. So while the shelves are diminishing and they can't fill POs because they have to supply to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of stores and worldwide, I can be the brand that's on the shelf because everyone else is having supply chain issues, but I'm like, I can be on the shelf. So being there when other products weren't, I mean, remember all the shelves were like, whether like they had supply chain issues, they couldn't be in there. So it was just like, again, Sour Strips has been a lot of work, right, over the years. But a lot of it was just this like lightning timing, right thing. And on top of everything, I started this brand before it was the common thing to start brands. Not like I'm a hipster and I liked it before it was cool, but I just got in early. Like I look at YouTube, like I got in YouTube really, really early. I got in to CPG like really, really early.
During COVID, you said that was big for you and that was huge for your growth. From the marketing perspective, creating social content, what was your content strategy? How did you promote social strips besides like
Social strips?
or
It's all right, dude.
I like that.
social strategy?
Sour media.
Yeah.
Sour media.
How did you promote Sour Strips, and what was your content strategy going in, like from a marketing perspective, besides talking about it on, your YouTube channel and in your vlogs? What was that like?
My strategy, early on, and it's actually to this day, was so we have never paid an influencer to promote our product ever. And early on, and again, this landscape has changed, especially with TikTok. My strategy early on was like, okay, we're going to run ads. That's going to happen. We're going to do natural stuff. We're going to be quirky. But, and for the first like 6 months of the brand, like I was one like responding to every like DM until I got Callie, who handles all of our stuff now. But I was like, we can afford to spend the money on marketing, just giving this product away at scale to anyone who has a following. So we started just like reaching out to every influencer under the sun. I would DM them, right? I remember the day I remember I was like staying in the warehouse with a Christian when like I DM'd like David Dobrik, and he responded right back. It was like Jake Paul. I was getting into like, Addison Rae. When Dave Portnoy was doing those like box hauls at his studio, we shipped him. I have a picture of like him holding it up. I have, Addison Rae. Honestly, like Addison Rae posted us a ton. But again, a lot of the strategy is I felt, especially as we started sending to everyone, so many of influencers. Then you got celebrities like G-Eazy, Lil Yachty, like all these people. I mean, we had Lil Yachty DMing us going, hey, can I get some more? I have like a personal video from him, like when his friends, like, man, he literally is like, this stuff's so good. He's like, I want to put it in a girl's booty and eat it with a spoon. Not even kidding. I had the video. His friend says that. He's like, this stuff's good. But like Addison Rae and all these people were just like, I have 7 photos of her on Snapchat, like eating it and TikTok and making all these videos. And I think, again, everyone was kind of in a different space where maybe everyone wasn't like as big to the point of like $1 million to post this brand. I also felt that if other influencers knew that an influencer owned the brand, they might be hesitant to post it because I was like, I don't know, maybe if they didn't know I was like, I don't know, this random creator, like, oh yeah, he just wants to like use my bigger audience type of thing. And maybe I'm just like, actually not everyone's an asshole. But I also felt, I was like, because I've been doing influencing for a long period of time, and you get hit up by brands and whatnot, and if like a toothbrush company hits you up, right? You're like, we want to send you this and promote it, and you're like, okay, here's my rate, like whatever. But if you get hit up by, the ice cream company you like or whatever, and there's like, hey, we want to send you like 10 pints of ice cream, that shows up your door. You will just post it because you're like, oh, well, this is food, like ice cream, like certain stuff. It's almost like you post like for free, right? Because I was like, I just kind of know this. Like I'd post random stuff, but other brands, if it was like maybe skincare or something, I'm like, oh, I want to do a brand deal or something. I don't even know how to describe it, but if you're kind of in the space, you'll tag brands. Oh, I love this drink. You'll tag the brand company and they've never even talked to you, right? I was like, if someone sent me candy, I bet people will post about it and not require a fee, right? So we would just send, what we did is I had the strategy, and we've probably sent to fucking thousands of influencers at this point. But every single day, I'd probably DM like 10 to 20 influencers, just anyone knows a following, start with, big, whatever. Because I'm always like, okay, and I'd always start it with like, want some free candy? Because I knew that people saw the DM, right? I knew that but this is before you could hide that if you can read it or not. I was like, a lot of times you don't want to open stuff, right? And you'd see a brand DMs you, but I was like, if a brand called Sour Strips, you think it's probably candy, and then the opening line that you can see before you have to open it says like, love sour, like love free candy, like love sour candy. I was like, I bet they'll open that DM. And then when you open it, it's just like, hey, we'd love to send you a box. We never asked, we never like, if you tag us, if you did this, it's just like, hey, love what you're doing, would love to send you candy. That's it, right? And what my idea was if we send them to this, I think there's a high probability that they'll eat it, that they'll like it because it's good, that if they like it and it's candy, I was like, I bet they'll just post us regardless. I think they'll probably tag us, right? That's the first mindset of like what I went into. And number 2 is I bet they'll like it so much that they'll hit us back up to get some more. And at that point, so you give it to them for free. Nothing. You don't even mention a tag, right? Or a post or anything. Where a lot of brands would hit me up, be like, we'd love to send you a 1 this $2 item, and if you could just make a reel about it, like what? So we just sent it to them, and then when they would ask, like, hey, this was so good, like, can you send me more? That is when you go, we would love to send you more. Like, be like we could send you a whole nother box. Like, would you mind like throwing us an like on your story? We put like a little emoji, like a little cute thing. And of course they're like, yeah, like of course. So that was like the strategy. I was like, we just sent it at scale for free, not to try to like manipulate, but I was like, I bet people, we can't afford to pay people. So we kind of did that. And then if they hit us back up again, and a lot of them did, we're like, oh, I want even more. We created this like, I had this idea to do, I was like, how about we put people who like really like us on this like monthly influencer list. And then you basically say, hey, we'll ship you candy every single month. And all you have to do is one time in that month, just mention us on your story one time. And then we'll send you candy on autopilot every single month. And people are like, yeah, sure, of course. And so that was how the brand just like blew up, because I was able to build the brand because of how well I knew candy from a candy consumer. And then I was able to like understand how influencers' brains work because I was one of them, right? So I kind of had this like double dip type of thing. And again, we did the no paid thing because I couldn't afford to pay these big things. And I also, we'd get tagged by these like massive accounts, and you wouldn't see this like crazy spike in sales or whatever. So I was like, the conversion's not only there, my goal was just to get the awareness out. So then it'd be like, it's like David Dobrik, for example. I've never met David Dobrik, never talked to David Dobrik besides on Sour Strips. When David Dobrik was like, yes, I love candy, send me a box, right? I put together, I did it actually. I put this like huge box together because I was like, all right, I know he's a big content guy, he's always looking for stuff. I put like 200 bags of candy, all this like confetti, like all this stuff in this big box. I was like, I bet he'll show it like in a video, right? Never posted us, never did anything. I'm like, damn, like what the heck, right? But then I started noticing that like months later, people tagged me that like on the table at his house or in his Tesla would be like a bag of Sour Strips, or like, David Nash and all them, they'd be doing something and in a bowl on the table was a bunch of Sour Strip bags and stuff. And I'm like, that's what I want. I just want Sour Strips to exist in the world so that they're just out there, right? I don't like, it's great if they tag us, but I just want the candy to be out there. The more people that see it, I mean, I have photos. I have photos of like Jake Paul's Snapchat of a picture of Logan Paul sitting at a table, and in front of Logan Paul is a bag of Sour Strips. Like, and I was like, that's what I want. It's just out in the world, right? People are like, oh, I love candy. Like, there's at someone's house, it's there. So I didn't really care if people posted us. It was great if they did, but I just wanted it out there, right? I wanted it to be in the random background in the house so that their friends are kind of eating it. And I knew that if it was out there enough, then when we started getting into stores, it's kind of like, oh, there's that brand I always see on TikTok. There's that brand that I saw Addison Rae post about. There's that brand, right? It's not like there's that YouTuber guy's brand. It's just like, there's that brand. So we've just given Sour Strips out at scale. We used to send like probably like 10 to 15 influencers a week. Or no, like a day. Yeah, like a day. We probably send 10 new influencers a day for like years.
Wow. It's insane.
And you start going into like all the different sectors. It was like, well, who's your target audience? Do you have a mouth? Do you like candy? I started talking to, my social person.
Everyone?
Yeah. And I'm like, send it to the fishing community, the archery community, like the beauty, everyone, the Frisbee golf community. I was like, everywhere, send it everywhere. And then even recently what we've been doing, I'm giving all my strategies away, everyone's just gonna copy all this, is like, we had this idea where like, let's get outside of almost the influencer world and get into like, I hate calling it like the real world, but like, so we started sending these huge boxes. Now we send them to like every sorority on the planet, right? Like every sorority, because they're doing all these rush things. So it's like, let's send them 300 bags of candy, because then they're going to post, and then that sorority is going to see it, and then they're going to reach out, and then it gets out into like the non kind of influencer world, or maybe the micro influencer world, or trying to come up. And it's just like, I just wanted Sour Strips to be in the world, like saturated, like as much as possible. And it wasn't like, I'm annoyed by seeing this, because I was like, or what people would think, because I knew that it's a good product, so that it's okay that it's saturated because it's a good thing. And when people are out, they're going to try it, they're going to like it. And I realize I talk so much.
I love that.
And I'm just like yapping.
No, I love it. This has been like so insightful. Okay, I want to back up to when it gets into Target. I've heard you say this story before about how you have to pay for individual SKUs when it goes in the store. They're like, oh, we want 100,000 bags. There's a little fee.
Slotting fees, bro.
A slotting fee. Okay. Cash flow, obviously, in a business like this is really important.
It's the one of the single hardest things to run a business, managing people and managing cash flow.
Okay, so and when the margins, when you're going up against the Goliaths, right? And you're like, ours is a little bit more expensive, and still at that point, you're still not making. Everyone's like, you're not making tons and tons and tons off of every single bag.
Right.
How did that work when they're like, hey Max, we would like 1 million bags, and in all these stores? Were you like, holy shit, the math here is this is gonna get
math ain't math.
This is math ain't math, and this is gonna get tough. What was that like? What was that inner dialogue like? And talk us through that little period.
So, like I mentioned, how everything was this like perfect timing, right? I mentioned COVID, and we're booming online. And I mean, when we launched like cotton candy, for example, which is not a top seller, fantastic flavor by the way, not a top seller. That was our 1-year birthday. That online launch, I think we had like 13,000 orders that day. And it eclipsed every launch we've ever done. It was just because it was like during peak of COVID, year anniversary, we're booming. And it was like this monumental thing. So because we boomed so much online, we had, I say so much cash, but again, margin's not that great, but
it's so much.
We were rich, dude. All right. We were rich.
We were like the bank Sour Strips was. So the only way that I was able to, everything had to happen the way that it had to happen, or the way that it happened for me to be able to get to this point. When the Target launch, it was also this massive launch with H-E-B. We're doing this big promo, which when you do promos, when you see brands on like the end of the shelf, like the end cap or whatever, and they have like this cool display, they're paying a shit ton of money to do that, right? It's not, wow, the store loves these brands so much. Like they're paying like tens of thousands. If you see a basket in an aisle at a Target, people are paying a lot of money to be in that basket. Like it's not just, they had a lot of product they put in the middle of the aisle. So just now you can be aware, if you're on an end cap, if you're like a side panel, like there's some stores that have a little flexibility, but
yeah, you see Mr. Beast in 7-Eleven, dude, right? When you walk into 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Hey, well, they might just give it to him. I don't know. But no, everyone's like paying for this. Like if you have all this, like you're paying to be in this store, you're paying to play, right? So because we're rich AF from online, that was the only way that I was able to fund launching into Target. If we did not have that boom and have that thing, I would have either had to raise money or put my own money in there. So while I did start the brand with $50K and there might've been one time where I think I added like 10,000 in the account, and then like 2 weeks later I pulled it back out. But the 50,000 investment, like that truly was like the whole company, which in our peak year last year, we did $34 million, right? So 50,000, 34 million.
Last year was your peak year?
Well, that was before I sold the company, but that's like the final year where like
you were the full
owner. I was the full owner. I did $34 million with Sour Strips last year. And this year we'll do better. But but 50,000 to that, like to manage the cash flow, especially if you know business, like in the CPG world and everything that goes into it, is mind-blowing. Like everything had to have happened in this perfect arc to be able to scale to that number without raising money. Like it's an anomaly. So I'm so proud of Sour Strips for the fact. A lot of people, when they raise money, it's like the celebrated thing, right? And usually you only want to raise money when you're funding growth. If you're doing it for like, I want to do it for like marketing and all these, it's like it starts being a dangerous game because you're changing the whole business, because now you have to sell, because now you're working to pay back those shareholders, investors, right? It changes the game.
And you're giving away little bits.
It could be equity. Ideally, maybe you just take like a big interest rate and the company's scaling. So it's not, it's a necessary thing for a lot of companies. And the fact that we did not do it is actually like wild. So had this boom online. Again, I never got reckless with the money. I was fortunate enough to not only do the clothing, do social media, which I do well on social media, but I mean, I was never like balling out of control from social media, brand deals and all that stuff. But I had my reserve of savings and whatnot. So if I needed to put a little cash, I could have. But when the Target launched, like it was an astronomical cost. And what the problem is, so when you get into a big store and you have this big launch, and that's why like almost smaller is almost better because you can grow into it, right? But when you go into 1,700 stores at Target, right? Let's say you have 6 months to prepare for that. They're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how many stores you're going into. And you usually find that out, like, I'd say 6 months might be crazy. It might be like maybe 4 to 6 months.
How quick is that money due? Right.
Well, here's I'm going to break this down for you.
Okay.
Is like, let's say they lock in, they're like, okay, we've decided you're going in June. Here, let's say it's December. Let's say you have 6 months. Like December 31st, they tell you in June, you're going in 1,700 stores, okay? You have 6 months to prepare for that. So what that means is they're going to tell you how many stores. They're going to tell you how many, like, they're going to tell you like what the general opening order is going to be, right? Because they're going to be, we want these flavors. We're going to want safety stock. So it might be, so we sell them in 12 packs, right? To the store. So 12 units in a case. So they might be, for every store, we want 3 12 packs for every store. So 3 12 packs, let's say 3 flavors. So let's say 9 12 packs across 1,700 stores, a lot of stores. You're paying a fee for each flavor, not each unit, but like a flavor. And it's a one-time fee. So it's like so you have, let's say three fees because you have 3 flavors going in times 1,700. So you have 6 months. So not only, and that's not due until a little bit later, but here's how the cash flow gets fucking wild, is you have this huge launch. You have 6 months to prepare for it. So you need to order massive amount of inventory because you need to prep to be able to send that out. It's not like I got the product in and a week later it goes out the door. It's, especially with ours, there's a lot of like manual processes. And again, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? So I'm not doing it the most optimal way and X, Y, and Z. I'm just like, I'll order it now, like timelines and inventory. So you have to order more inventory than you've ever had because you have this giant launch that are going to scale to. So you're ordering all that. You're spending the cash there, right? And generally, you got to pay for that product up front. So it's not like you get it and then when they pay me, I can pay this manufacturer. You pay the manufacturer. So you have the packaging, the storage, the product itself, the labor. Then you're putting it all together. Then you have to store it. And you're hoping you're not storing it for longer than you need to because then it's taking up space. Again, there's so much bullshit that goes on. But you have to pay for all that product way ahead of time because the manufacturer has to make the more product. You got to ship the product. So it's like you have to order it months and months ahead of time. So you're paying for it months and months ahead of time. Then it's finally the big day, right? You launch into the store, you send all that, which you've already paid for. Now it goes into the store, right? Then you have payment terms. And for a store like Target, it could be 60 to 90 days. So let's say you have 2 to 3 months before they're going to pay you for that. So you paid for it over here. You waited, you don't have that cash anymore. It launched, let's say you ordered it in February and March and you've been wasted that cash or spent that cash 3 months before it launched. It launches in June. You don't get paid for 3 months after that, okay? But during that time, you're hoping it's a success. So when it launches in June, July, August, September, let's say you get paid in September. From June to September, right? Hopefully if it's booming, they're like, this is selling real well. So they're placing more orders. Man. And also you need to order enough inventory to support the launch, but you got to assume that it's going to do decent. So you need inventory to support the restock itself. And then you need to support all of the purchase orders that are going to come in. And assuming, let's say you're like, this is going to crush it. Let's say every week they're ordering, still 60, 90 days. So you need to float like 6 to 9 months of essentially no cash coming in of that retailer, this big expansion that you're so stoked for, and all of the restocks, all of the other orders, and assuming you're scaling in other stores, right? So you need to front all this money. And then it's kind of this like, I don't say first world problem, but like the money's coming in. You know it on the P&L, the receivables, like it's coming in, but you need to, what are you going to do for that 7 months, especially if you're a startup, you don't have all this cash. And then when the checks start rolling in, then it's like, oh, right? then it's like, then it's
we're rich again.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's all good. But again, you're getting paid 3 months later, and guess what? You have that slotting fee. So not only you're getting paid.
Wow.
You're getting paid that first paycheck is a huge chunk taken out. I mean, it's huge.
They just take it right out.
They take it out of that. Yeah. So you're not paying it. They take it out of what they pay you.
That's nice.
So and guess what? There's also on payment terms, they also take a discount. So they'll take like most stores are like a 2% discount.
Oh.
So they will pay you later, which again, a lot of times you can negotiate, but a lot of the big stores are like, you want to be in this big store, you're playing by our rules. So they're going to wait 30, 60, 90 days and they're going to take 2% discount and you're going to pay sliding fees. So it's a, it's a crazy
they're just
experience.
they're just like, yo, because you're hanging out in Target, we're actually 2% come back to us, boss man.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, there's the fees to do it. And then there's all these promotions. And then if you don't do the promotions, which the promotions can cost tens of thousands of dollars to do. And if you don't do them, then a lot of times these bigger stores will basically be like, man, you're not being a partner with us. Like, so you like have to do you don't have to, but like you kind of need to do this because you want to show them that you're investing into them. And it's
that's like making the bag $3 you're saying instead of $3.49 or for.
I mean, you could do whether it be a discount, it could be like an end cap.
You give them
like,
I see,
so they're like, hey, here's an aisle promo we'd like to do with you, and you're like, oh, and they're like, it's going to be $50,000, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. They're like, well, come on, like, why don't you want to do promos?
What, are you broke? Cash flow problem.
So, and this is with like, this isn't just like a Target thing. This is like really with like a lot of stores. Like it's they don't want to feel like you're like just like they place POs, you ship them product, that's it, right? They want to feel like you're a partner together, and you're like, couldn't we be partners where I don't just give you like a bunch of money? Maybe you just put us in the store and I just make you more money. And they're like, nah. So all of that had to happen. Like that moment when we went into Target and we had all this other kind of growth starting to happen, that period of time was probably, cash flow has always been stressful, but that was the moment where like and I'm the only one that sees this, right? That was the moment where like the accounts got like depleted, where I'm like, oh fuck, we don't have any money. Where did it all go? I'm like, and that was the biggest thing like with cash flow is like, you'd spend all this money and you literally would go, where did it go? Like, I'm not pulling cash out. I'm not buying shit. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm like, I know we're just putting it back in the business, but I'm like, where is it? I know we did, millions of dollars in our first year. I'm like, where it ain't in the account. Where is it? Right?
So like, money from YouTube as well as like affiliate with say Ghost or something, that was paying your actual bills. You weren't taking money from Sour Strips in those early days. If it was minor.
I didn't take money. I started once we started structuring like a holdings company, like just for tax purposes. Then I started paying like a management fee. Basically, Sour Strips would pay a management fee because I was essentially working for free for Sour Strips, right? So you start deciding like what your payment is, like running as a CEO, but you also don't want to, you're managing cash, where I was fortunate to have this other stream where, maybe my salary for running an 8-figure company, like think of like how much would a CEO running call it a $20 million company, like
solid salary,
make, right? Yeah. Solid salary. But you're like, I'm not going to pay myself hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because it's like I don't necessarily need the money. I don't want to pull that money out. So cash flow is just a bitch, and you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what like problem's going to happen. That's going to like just the problem is like when you forecast, like, and I didn't really do forecasting, but when you're like each month when you're like, okay, I know this is going to be this expense, like I know this is going to be that. Every day or every week is something popping up that just costs you money. And it could be an error by the team, which again is generally of like, did you teach them the way to not make that error, or did you put the right people in place? So it's always like your fault, right? It's kind of like if the team, what someone said, it's like if the team succeeds, it's like everyone did it. If the team fails, it's because you sucked, right? Like it's, it's like we did as a team, but if it failed, it's because the leader was bad, right? So it's a lot of pressure onto you to, teach how you want to do. And also mistakes are going to happen. And there's been a lot of errors by me, by my team that have cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years for sure. But it's only a problem if it like repeatedly happens. Then it's like, what the fuck are you doing, right? But if it's a singular time where it's this big expense, it's like, then it's, okay, why did this happen? Like, why did this happen? What was not in place? Who didn't know about it? Like, how do we make sure this never happens again? And that's the important thing, is like learning from those, not just being like, this cost $5,000, this cost $10,000. It's like, why did this happen? How did I not catch this type of thing? And it's only if things start repeating, then there's a bigger problem with maybe the structure of the organization that you have.
Were you using like 27 different business credit cards to be able to float this money? Or
No, I never used.
Never business credit at all.
I'm a huge credit card guy.
Same.
So
I got them all in my little chat GPT so I can see what they do.
Yeah, but the credit cards maybe like 2, but most of the time people don't let you pay with credit cards because
they get those little fees.
Yeah, so you can't pay with credit cards. But I mean, I only had like 1 or 2 credit cards, so I never had like big lines of credit. Like literally the $50K, and then the money from what that $50K created funded the entire business.
That is insane.
Wow. Yeah, it's
and so they're just yanking cash constantly for all these orders. You can't do that.
Well, I'm sending it all. Like every wire, every money that has gone out of the account from the day one to before the company got sold, every single dollar was like me going ACH to this person, wire to this person.
Oh my God.
I transferred all the money. I managed all the money. I was the only one that could see the account. I was the only one that decided, yes, we should spend money on this. No, we shouldn't. It's
amazing.
But I'm not like a finance guy. I just I just did a lot of things like with my gut. It was like, do we need to do this? Yes. Okay. We got money. I know money's coming in. And I also, this is not a good business practice, but like generally you should know what your receivables are, where you kind of like, if it's January, you should know on like a spreadsheet what's coming in later that month, what's coming in next month, and you do cash flow analysis, right? I would just each day get, whether it be a check or like a deposit, I was like, oh shit, nice. Like, I'm like, oh, that was a bigger one than last time. It wasn't like, okay, on the 13th, we should be getting paid from the 3 months ago. And again, not like in a, I'm so cool that the business just worked because I'm so good at what I did. It was like, I didn't know like what to do. And I was so trying to like cash strappy. That's why I was like, I had a bunch of buddies that would have businesses that were scaling. They're like, yeah, 2 years in, I just hired a CFO and a COO. And I was like, nah, I can do it. Like, I'm like, I'll figure it out. And they're like, you would save so much money because they would save all these mistakes. I was like, nah, I figured it out. Like, and I was just stubborn. And I was like stubborn of just being like, no, I can manage it when I shouldn't have been doing it.
You think you should have brought on a CFO earlier or no?
Well, I did it all, so. The only person, a person that I hired that has been with us for about 1.5 years was an inventory analyst. And I would say that was the single role that I absolutely should have hired so early on, especially in CPG and you're scaling. The inventory management was probably the single most difficult thing and the most stressful thing of not trying to run out of product, run out of like specific types of products, packaging, not ordering too much, timelines, so you're not getting product in 6 months early when you could have ordered it 3 months early, and then that cash could have been used for other things.
That sounds like a key hire.
No, inventory analyst is
that's the one.
That's the
phenomenal hire.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How far into you creating sour strips did you feel like, holy shit, this could become a huge company that I could
Day one. I'm just kidding.
Eventually sell and get acquired for? Was that your goal from day one?
I never thought that.
Interesting.
Ever. And what I've always said, and you can ask any of my friends, I've never once to my friends while sour strips did the words come out of my mouth that I'm building this to sell, that I want to sell it, that, I hope I sell it. Never. You can ask Christian, I'll go and lie detector test, right? And then even in my videos, when people would ask, I never got asked that question. When I started sour strips, the number one question I got asked was like, would you sell it? Would you sell it? Would you sell it? And I was like, I never even fucking thought about that. Like, because again, I started it not to build this multi-million-dollar candy company. It was just, oh, Christian did energy drinks. He's an energy drink guy. I really know a good amount about candy. I think I'll figure this out. And then it just scaled. Like I never had time to do that. So there wasn't this strategy. I'm going to launch online and then I'm going to go, my go-to-market strategy is going to be in retail and I'm going to expand distribution. It was just like, I don't know. So when I got asked this question, then I started being like, oh, I never thought about that. But the entire time with sour strips, I learned a whole lot. Was fun as shit every single day, and it's an industry that I love. and I was able to make content around it, right? So I never had, and we were scaling and we were profitable since day one, and we became more profitable. So like I was making money, I was having fun, I was disrupting this industry, and I loved what I was doing every day. Why would I sell it, right? Like I'm making money, like we're growing like crazy. And then as you get larger, the problems get larger, the risk gets larger, right? It's a very difficult kind of like thought process. And when people would ask me if I would sell the company, like you can go back and look at my Q&As, what I would always say is I never even considered the option. I got hit up all the time by like private equity companies that would, and I never like went down the rabbit hole, but like they would hit me up and be like, we love what you're doing. We'd love to whether it be invest or like buy a portion. In my Q&As, I always said, I was like, I have zero interest in selling this to a company that is just gonna like use it for cash flow. Like a private equity venture firm, zero interest in that. I said that, I would be open to like conversations with basically another candy company that would see what we're doing and help us scale beyond. Because although sour strips, my dream with sour strips was always to prove that I could do it, to disrupt this industry, to like almost show, like prove that like this dude who loves candy can create something that the other brands are like, who is this guy, right? To do that, I wanted to, achieve financial benefit from it as well. But but then the final thing was like, I want sour strips to be like the sour candy brand of like the generations. Like I want it to be around I want it to be a legacy brand. And am I doing the brand disservice by scaling it to like the way that I'm scaling it with potential like pitfalls, or like could another company help me with their resources of manufacturing, of their ability of economies of scale to be able to lower costs, like to take what I could do in 20 years to do in 3, 5, right? Like cause my goal is like, I want more people to eat this candy. So I always said like, I would be open to selling it to a company or selling a part of it to a company where they loved what I did and wanted to like help make this dream a reality and like turn it into something. So selling it was I never thought about that. It was kind of like, I've always been while people maybe look at my life and see a lot of the successes that I've had, I actually talked about this 2 episodes ago when Christian's like, I'm gonna hit 1 million subscribers. And I'm like, bro, I don't think you're gonna hit 1 million subscribers in your second one.
Dude, and people were dogging on you in the comments.
People fucking ripped me a new one because, like I said, if people don't listen to the end of the podcast, if they get to the end of the podcast, I basically circle back on it. And I'm like, I realized that like, Christian, your ability to dream is something that I can't even fathom. Like I can't, because I look at a lot of what I do and I go, that's not, I can't do that. Like that's impossible, right? So even with sour strips, when people are like, this company's like scaling, you could sell it. And I'm like, that's never gonna happen. Like that's not to me. Like I never thought these like crazy things could happen to like me. It was more like, nah, that's like, I'm just this goofy guy. I don't actually know business. I don't know honestly what the fuck I'm doing. Like I'm just, I'm always been like a scarcity mindset type of guy, even though I want to make it believe like I'm like this abundance type of thing, but I'm more like, I don't know if that can happen. If it does, that's crazy, right? Versus like, I'm manifesting this. I will achieve it, right? I'll never stop until I do it. Selling it was never a thought. And again, it helped that it was just, I never had time because it was like scaling, growing year over year, making money. So it never kind of came up.
I've seen you post this on your story where people were like, oh, do you feel like you got lucky with sour strips? And I love how you comment back to them. You're like, you should go make one. You should go make like a fucking candy brand. You think I got lucky? You should go do it.
Everyone's been like,
if it's so lucky, you should go do it, right? Do you have any want to run this back at a later moment? I know you're about to have a baby. Literally, it could be tomorrow. It could be next week. Is there anything in you where you're like, this chase was so fun and I had so much adrenaline during it that I could see myself maybe one day in the future, maybe when your kid's grown up, your kid's off to college, that you would want to do something like that? Or are you content? And are you like, I'm ready to be like the best dad ever and see what Hershey's is going to end up taking this into the, into this next chapter of its life?
Probably more so that I guess you could say never, but I think that sour strips was my contribution to this industry that I have loved since I was a kid. Like, I think it was the impact that I could make, and I fucking did it, right? Like, I created something. I created a brand that was so cool that one of the largest candy companies in the world decided that they think it's so cool too. And I was able to build this, and I can sit on a podcast and go so in depth because I know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I know the struggles that went into it. I know the time that went into it. I don't think I'll ever. I think this was my lightning in a bottle. And I think this is the impact, because I honestly don't think I can create something that is better than what I've created. I think that this was the pinnacle in the candy world of what I wanted to do and what I was able to achieve. And I'm so proud of what myself and my team was able to accomplish in such a short period of time, that I, assume and hope that Hershey will do it justice, which I know they will. And, when my kids and my grandkids can be like, my fucking granddad, he started that, right? Like he did this, right? And I think that's so cool. And I don't need to prove to myself that I can do it again. Sour Strips changed my life, and it changed a lot of people's lives. And, I'm talking about kind of like the impact I was able to make on a lot of my employees that were with me from the first day. I was able to change more than just my life with the sale of the company. And I never can go in depth in that. And, but it's like, I was able to impact more than just my life by selling this company. And it's something I'm super proud of that I was able to do with the people that helped me get it there. And I think this is my contribution to the candy world, and that was it. And I think I fucking crushed it. Like, I think we crushed it, and I think we crushed it so well that I think people are replicating what we're doing, or trying to replicate in some fashion the thing that we built. And I think that speaks volume. There's a reason why people are trying to do things that are trying to be similar to what Sour Strips is. I think that speaks volumes in itself. And I'm super proud of this. And now it's kind of on to the I've always looked at like my life in like these like kind of like 5-year like buckets, or what's that happened to happen. It's like when I graduated college, I started YouTube, and that 5-year journey was starting my YouTube career while working a full-time job and putting out like 4 videos a week. So I worked for 3 years, started a clothing company, started my YouTube channel. And then in that 5 years, at the end of the 3 years, I quit my job, went all in on social media, started opening a gym. And then at the end of that 5-year first bucket was literally did a powerlifting competition, hit fucking records, and then packed up my life and I moved to Texas. And I started the next 5 years in January of 2019. And that's where, I got my dog. I started Sour Strips. I met my wife. I started a life in Texas, grew my social media even more, sold my company, bought land to, build a home on, got word that I have my first child. And this next 5-year bucket, I want it to be family and focus on that. And I don't think this will be the last challenge that I have in terms of business, right? I have a lot of life challenges, but I don't know what businesses I'll get into. I don't know if I will start another kind of company. Maybe I help people with their companies. Maybe I just work on my social media. But I think the crazy stressful life of entrepreneurism, especially the way that I never want to do what I did with Sour Strips again. I'm so thankful that I did, because I learned so much, but I can't do that again. Like I can't do that again, especially now with a wife, with a child. Like I don't want to. Like I don't want to, and I'm fortunate that I don't have to. And so I don't know what businesses I'll maybe get into, but this chapter, this 5-year bucket was a fucking epic one, and now we're on to the next one. I'm excited for what that story is going to tell, and it starts with the birth of our first son, which is going to be in,
a couple hours.
Yeah, like literally
Gotta get him
any day now.
It's so amazing.
That's amazing. So I was listening to, actually I wasn't listening to the full podcast. I saw a clip and I brought it up to Braden. It was a clip of Jessica Alba, and I forget the woman's name whose podcast it was. She was the girl who helped launch Skims. She's like this boss CEO lady. And they were talking about
The Australian girl?
yes.
Okay, she was on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And they were talking about money, and the woman asked Jessica Alba about money, and Jessica Alba was like, when you have it, she's like, I want to go on record and say, it's amazing to have, and it allows you to be like exactly who you want to be and do exactly what you want in this life. And when you don't have it, it's hard to make decisions and to live the life you actually want to live because you're kind of in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who just got acquired and like money is kind of like no longer an issue for you in your life, how does that change the way that you're able to live your life? Or do you feel like you don't think about it too much? You're like, I have this, amount of money, I'm all good, I'm still gonna be living my life exactly how I was before? Or does it allow you to change the way you live your life moving forward and maybe allow you to go 100% in on this next chapter and be the best husband, best dad you could possibly be?
Yeah, money is it's another topic that I am fascinated by, like finance and money and growing well. I've learned I love it's kind of like I like almost growing my money more than I like spending my money. Because I like it's almost like,
Brother, I'm with you.
it's like I like gamify
game.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
just
a game.
and it's I even put it in like funny, like a chat GPT. I was like, one day I'm gonna show my son my portfolio. He's like, oh my God, you're up this much? Like, when are you gonna buy anything? It's like, no, we don't buy anything. We just flex on people and show them. Like,
we just watch. We just look at the account.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what? The point? I think money, it amplifies who you are. If you
Yeah.
were a fucking asshole before with no money, you're an asshole with a bunch of money, right? And I've always been good with money, even when I've been literally I took one semester off in college, but I have been at a physical job or working for myself from when I was 15 until now. And I have always been really good with my money of managing. I've never gone into debt. Like, I've had car payments, right? But I've never gone into debt, credit card debt. I've always just been good at not spending more than I have. And I've always been like scrappy with ways to make money, whether it's been selling shit in my room or building stuff for people's Jeeps or mowing lawns or getting a job or doing X, Y, and Z. Like, I've always just like found ways to make money ever since I was a kid. I even had like a gumball machine at my dad's coffee shop, which is kind of ironic with candy. But I had like a gumball machine my aunt got me and put it in there, and I would like, buy gumballs and put it in there and then like get the money. My parents would make me save it. So I think money is similar to what, Jessica Alba, you have to say their full name. No, Jess.
Yeah, Jess.
Yeah, everybody Jess.
I think that it's true what she says. I think money doesn't solve all your problems. I think money solves problems that money can solve those problems for, which is a lot, right? Once you take away the stress of bills and you just take away the stress, then it just maybe decides like what the type of person you are, what the type of life you want to live. And I've had not a lot of money, and I've had a lot of money. I definitely think having a lot of money is probably a little more fun than, having to stress about this or, I look at like financial freedom of like, what are the things you actually like care about doing and certain things like being able to go into, I know people will say like, go in the grocery store and not look at prices and stuff, but that's like true. It's like when you go to eat, it's like, it's like, oh, which appetizer? Fucking order the 3 you want. Like, it's like order these things. Like, get the fucking Wagyu steak if you want to try it. Like, you're able just to do these things you before be like, what if I like don't like it or I don't spend this money or like, even having like, ready like a bunch of. I'm a huge like I love drinks like beverages, right? Love them. Like I want my fridge stocked with 17 different like drinks options, right? Like I look at that as luxury. Like having all these ready to drink, whether it be like proteins and like, all these energy. I know I work with Ghost and everything, but like having a fridge stocked with like 17 different types of beverages, I look at that as like, this is living.
Dude, wait,
You got to do the fridge restocking videos, dude.
Yeah.
You know this Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian?
I think so.
Okay.
Italian dude.
He has
Yeah.
He has such a funny bit about bringing a girl over. He's like, fellas, you gotta have options.
For sure.
He's like, you can't bring a girl over and just offer her water. She comes over, I got a fridge stocked. I was like, you want Orange Gina? She's like, you got Orange Gina? He's like, yeah, baby.
No.
Come on.
At my
sit
old,
down.
I
got Orange Gina.
I could find these old videos at my old condo in DC. My fridge, I probably had I probably had 9 different like diet soda options, like at any given time, fully stocked all the way to the back, baby, right? Like
living large.
Yeah, like bottles of water. I loved it. So money's something I love talking about it. I love it. I look at my finances like throughout the day. Like I'm always like, whether it be investments or just, I love money, right? But in a way of like, I love making more of it. But you know, my life is, I think now it gives me the ability to, again, do what I want when I want to do it at a level that I could have never imagined. But I think it also allows you to, whether it be, you know, me being able to help, you know, whether it be retire my mom, help my immediate family. If there's a business idea they have, I can be the loan, be like, here's the money. Like you don't go to bank, like, here, take it. You know, hope we get it back, or you know, but it's being able to do things like that. Or I love spoiling the people around me with stuff. I love, you know, my wife doesn't ask for a single thing from me, even though the internet, you know, probably has perception. You know, if a girl meets a successful guy, she's only like him for his money. But like, I love getting like nice gifts for my wife, like because I don't care about designer shit really. Like I like buying stuff for her that like her eyes light up. She never asked me for it, but I love when she talks about a bag. I'm like, Christmas, you know, my head. I mean, like I like the fact that like money can almost like just do a lot of things for like a lot of cool people like around. And you know, as soon as I sold the company, the first thing that I did, I told Taylor, my wife, and I was like, as soon as I sold the company, I was like, I want to rent a private jet, and I want to rent a baller ass house, ski in, ski out in Vail, and I want to get our dog, and I want to get our friends, and I want to fly everyone there, and I don't want anyone to pay for anything. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to get my friends. Like, y'all just need to show up at this airport. I got a plane. I got the house. Like, they didn't let me pay for their lift tickets, even though I wanted to do that. But they, I was like, that was the cool thing, right? And it's not like, yo, look at me, guys. Like, I got y'all a jet. It's just like, I'll get it. Like, I don't like whatever, you know. Awesome. So I like that kind of stuff, and I don't know. It's a cool point moving forward. It's like if I get into hobbies, you can
be the dude. You're best.
Yeah,
best stuff right off the bat.
Yeah, man.
You mentioned this with Christian a while ago, talking about investing, and Christian's like, I got this money management firm, and you were like, you can do it yourself. I
like being like hands-on. As you learn with like the candy thing.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself.
Explain to me now. I'm sure that people were hitting you out of the woodworks. Like, hey, let me invest. Let me help you invest with your money. And I saw you post a story the other day where you're like, dude, half of it S&P, and then the other maybe money markets, whatever. Like, is that what you've done since the very beginning? Because that's what I did. That's what I've done as well. And I'm curious, like, as this stuff starts to grow, do you plan on doing anything with it, or are you like, the books, or the simple way is the way to freedom?
So I think like different stages of your life should depict kind of like your investment strategies, right? And it's going to change over time. And trust me, everyone is a fucking expert. Everyone has the best strategy. Everyone is like, bro, you got to do this, you know? And if that's the case, I should be like, you know what you want to do to get really wealthy? You got to start a candy company, bro. That's what you really got to do, right? You got to start a CPG brand right before COVID. Everyone has successes, and everyone is probably right in some aspect. But it also comes down to like your risk tolerance. And for me, I'm at a point where the risk was the business, right? And now when you get to certain like levels of wealth, it's the game has changed for you, and your goal is to preserve that wealth and not fuck it up for like, you know, trust me, 2 generations from now, they're all going to burn your money anyway. So, you know, your grandkids are definitely going to spend it all anyway. So, but like during your lifetime and people see me like whether it be when I bought land and I bought another piece of land, or I bought like my truck, or I got this watch, which I got like engraved with like the Sour Strips like sale date and stuff. People are like, this guy's fucking burning through his money. I'm like, guys, I haven't spent a dime from the Sour Strip sale. Like, but my investments have returned greater than I've spent. And I've spent a lot, and like, but that's like, it's like I would never in a million years. First of all, I told my wife this. I was like, one thing I promise you is like, I will always protect this family in terms of like financial security to the point where like I will never do anything that would fuck this up for us, like ever. I might do some stuff that might dip for a little bit, but I was like, like I will never do something irrational with our finances to the point where like Max lost it all, ever, period. I'm confident in that. But I think preserving wealth and understanding your risk mitigation, and you can always like chase bigger yields, right? Like you could put everything in like bonds and lock your money up and get steady fixed income cash flow. It's gonna be lower percent, but it's like 0.01% risk. Or you could put it in the S&P, maybe 7 to 10. It could go down, could go up. Or like some people would say when you're younger, put it more into like riskier stuff because you have time for volatility over the years. But it depends what game you're playing and how you sleep at night. If you sleep it better at night, making 4% versus stressing all the time trying to make 7 or 8%, is that really worth it? And does that money, it's like, yeah, but you can make more money for next generation. Like, bro, I got enough money. Like I got enough money. My kids are good. My grandkids are good. Like there'll be enough money. I don't need to like stress and chase the yield. But some people get advisors because whether or not they're better or not, or they just don't want to like Christian's someone like he loves probably money and finance, but he doesn't want to manage it, right? I'm someone that like I want to make the decisions on my money. Whether or not that's actually yielding me the best results, probably not, but that's what I like to do. So as far as like allocation of stuff, like my portfolio is essentially probably 50% in equities like S&P and like stocks, right? And then probably 30% in like municipal bonds, which is probably a lot at my age because I could take riskier stuff, but it also almost protects myself from myself where I can like lock up a chunk of money for 1 to 5 years, still get dividends from that, which I can invest in, but you're getting monthly payments tax-free. And, it's kind of like, it's just a safer bet. You're hedging your bets and then keeping a percent in, say cash, but it's, high yield savings account, super liquid like money markets. And then you basically just figure out the lifestyle you're trying to live. Like how much money do you want to spend every month, right? And that's a question because at first you're like, I want to be able to ball out, but like, what do you actually want? Like, is it, you want 10K a month? You need 50K? You need 100K? Like what is the life that you're trying to live? And you work backwards from that. And you work backwards of how you try to achieve that for the longest period of time ever. And that's going to change over time. But if you're someone who sells your company and you're like, okay, I want to live pretty fucking cool and I want to do these cool things. I need 40K a month to spend for my bills, utilities, spending stuff. Let's say it's 40K, which is a lot of fucking money, right? You would just work backwards. Like, what do I need to achieve that guarantees that it's giving me 40K a month, right? But it's maybe not locked up forever if I need to change that down or up. And your lifestyle is going to change over time. And like lifestyle creep is a real big bitch. But
did that ever catch up to you at all? Did you ever?
No,
never.
No.
You felt really good about it the whole leading up.
Man, without sounding like a fucking dickhead, I could have been. I look at a lot of like younger influencers who start making a bunch of money. Yeah. And a lot of times I'm like, either they're making 10 times more than me or they're just completely stupid with how they're spending their money, right? Because like, I know that years ago, I'm like, I know I'm bringing in a lot of cash and I am not spending like that. I was like, they're either balling or they're just spending, right?
I think it's the spend.
Yeah, and everyone, you never know.
Saving.
Like, yeah.
No saving.
So I even from like, I could have been spending a lot more of my kind of like world throughout, but it's just like spending money is my favorite. Like I spend money and I spend a lot of money on the things that I feel the value they give me are going to be like relative to the money that it costs, right? So I don't really, at this stage, like I don't care what something costs me. I care about the value that I'm getting out of it. And if I feel like I'm not getting a value, I don't want to spend money on it. I'm gonna take the time to try to get it for cheaper. And that could be as little as I found a way to save $5 off this, right? Or like I'm talking with my lawn guy for a random property and he quotes me this and I'm negotiating down $50. Like some people be like, bro, you can just do whatever. And I'm like, I like the game. I think as a dude, I think men like love negotiating. First of all, like it's like part of the game of like business. But also like if something can take me 2 minutes and I can save $5 by going somewhere else, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do it because I like the process of like doing this. But in certain things where I'm like, I know that I'm just blowing this money on this thing, but I just need it fixed. I need it done. Yeah. That's where like money comes in and it just like solves it. And it almost like contradicts you trying to save over here when you're like, bro, you could have done X, Y, and Z to not spend that. But like, yeah, but I don't fucking care about that. And I wanted it just to be done. And I don't want to go through the hassle of getting this 100, like it's not worth my time, but be like, but that is, be like, nah, I'm a hypocrite, right? So yeah, money is like a fascinating tool to use to like what you want to do. And it just depends like the life you want to work, and you just work backwards. How much do you want or need? And then that's where you invest. Yeah, and I think with advisors and whatnot, I think generally investing in the market will probably yield you great results, but that's not to say that investors and advisors like don't have a place where they could surpass what you could do on your own, because they do that. But I always just look at like, it's kind of like when I would work on my car randomly and I like couldn't do something and I'm like, man, I need to take it to a shop. And I'm always like, I mean, a shop's like, it's just a dude. It's just a dude doing the same thing I'm doing. He just kind of knows it. I'm like, I can figure figure this out, right? So I like learning stuff. I like learning about things and finance while I'm still like not like the best at it. It's something that like I enjoy spending I don't look at it as like me just like staring at my portfolio all day. I'm like learning in different like bits and pieces about finance and like seeing how things work over time and whether or not I got a big yield or not. I learned about it. Now I kind of know a better way, or maybe I need to be more aggressive in this investment versus being so like frugal in terms of like not thinking it's going to yield a result. So that's just like what I like spending a lot of my time on, honestly.
We only got a couple more. We'll get you out of here. I know.
Oh, you're good, man.
Oh, okay.
If your kid was to listen back to this episode, call it 10, 15 years down the line, when they can really understand what you built, what would you hope for them to understand about this life that you built and the journey that you went on to get to this point?
That's a good question, dude. I think that the biggest, I have a lot of fears about raising a child, right? And making sure that I'm a father figure that like instills a lot of good values and a father that takes the things that maybe I know that I lack in and not showing him these like ways about myself so he doesn't maybe, it could be procrastination, organization. Like I need to be better so he doesn't become these things where I know I'm like, man, I wish I was better at this, and I keep trying. Like, I guess I would hope that I've instilled enough values and morals in him and however many kids I have at that point, to the point where like the life that they live, although like they need to understand how privileged and fortunate that they are to like be in this world, and like of what maybe I was able to do it at a younger age, but not feel that is like the norm, or not feel that they can just like float through life and that that will float them. Because that's a big concern that I've had and I've done a lot of like, I go deep on like Reddit threads or whatever of like people who especially start getting into any sort of wealth of like, how do you make sure your kid's not a piece of shit who just like is a spoiled kid, right? And it's like, oh, do you make them do things when you could just pay someone to do them? But like I don't want to. Our kid will live a great life, and I'll take care of him, and I'll take care of all of our kids. But like, I don't want to give him everything that he asked for. I want him to, especially as a man to a man, like I want him to like work and learn, and like, hey, your dad had a big windfall when he was like 35, but that took 20 years. I started working when I was 15. Like I spent 20 years essentially building the person I was to be able to achieve that. And at a minimum, 7 years to get to the point of starting the company that then took 5 years, right? So it's like I really spent 12 years of my life in the social media, real deep business. But earlier on that, I understood the value of money and and that's why I'm like, I feel like I'm good with money because I earned my money. I know how hard it is to make money. Like I think people don't realize how, whether it be 10 grand, 100 grand, $1 million, like it is hard to make that amount of money, and right? And generally, the more money you make, the more money you start making, right? So it becomes almost like easier the more money you make, but like it's not like, that's what I'm gonna teach Charlie, my son. It's like, bro, like get your ass out there and mow the lawn. You wanted some money? Like, you want to buy some stuff? Or like, hey, like, I would love to pay you, but like, you need to work for this. And it's like, I don't want to give him everything. So I hope that he understands like the value of money and the hard work that goes into making that money. And he doesn't think that, you know, just because dad is wealthy, dad and mom are living good, it's like, we're wealthy, son. You're not wealthy.
So
you know,
Shaq, like Shaq. Did you see that?
This is my money.
Have you seen that video?
I've seen something similar, like Kevin O'Leary is like, why don't I sit in first class? Because I'm rich. You're not rich.
Yeah, Shaq like flew across the country to be
You're
his
gonna make
kid.
your son flight coach.
You gotta put him in the
Mom and dad are first
last
class.
row, brother. Last row. Walk your ass back.
That's the thing. It's like, I have no idea, like what, like, you know, like I've done well, but I've never came into like a really wealthy point of my life, and now I need to raise a child to be not spoiled when I didn't grow up with my parents having a bunch of money. So it's not like, oh, I know how it is. Like, I can't like use my own early beginnings. Like, I'm just gonna have to show them like work, and like understanding the value of money is so important. And that's why I spend money when I want to spend money. I'm good with making money, and I'll continue to make money and not run out, because I know how hard it is. For every dollar that I have is a like time that I put into to earn that money. And and then like I said, once I'm gone, I'm sure there's gonna be like, now let's get the yachts.
Yeah.
You know, granddad's gone. Thanks for making that candy. Whatever, man. I'm ordered the helicopter.
Like, man, son,
It's like Step Brothers.
Yeah.
They're just rapping on the boat.
Yeah.
Rapping on your boat.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like,
damn, son, you're zone 6. Keep working hard. You'll get to zone 1.
yeah, exactly. Be like, maybe, you know, if your grades are good, I'll put you in the priority class at
Get
the
you a
beginning.
little comfier seat with Delta.
exit seat, little extra leg
We'll
room.
see.
But like, as weird as it sounds, like you need to do that.
Yeah.
Like you maybe not that specifically, but like, you need to have them have hard. Like, you can't just, Dad, can I have this? Can I have this? And I'll probably spoil the fuck out of my kids, but like, to the point where I'm gonna relate it to my childhood, and they don't need to maybe struggle as hard. That's the thing, is like, should your kids, maybe, I don't say struggle is a hard word, but should your kids go through the same times that you went to, because that's just what you went through? Or maybe now you can help them not go through that. But it's like, no, when he turns 18 or whatever, it's not like he's just gonna get a bunch of money. It's like, no, like, you're gonna get when you can get a job, unless you're in sports or like school and sports, probably or like extracurricular stuff, or like your hobbies, like that's gonna be your main focus. But like, you need to make good grades, and you need to be active with stuff. And then then you're gonna get you want stuff, get a job. Like, and if you want to work for me of some sort or whatever, it's like, you're gonna work. It's not, I'm just gonna pay you to do nothing, because I don't feel that that's way. And I'm sure I'll bend the knee here and there, but
I feel like you would crush being a coach for your son.
Probably.
If he played sports, I feel like you would crush that.
yeah, I just came in and back talk to me and be like, 30 laps, suicides, go.
I got one more for you.
Okay.
If you could go back and chat with your 18-year-old self before you went on this journey, nothing that would change it, what would you say?
Don't you fuck this up. No, I don't know, man. It's like, you can't really change anything, because everything led you to this moment. The people around me and myself, I would have never in a million years guessed that my life would have turned out the way that it has, based on just my beliefs in myself and just like my surroundings. Like, I wasn't surrounded by entrepreneurs. I wasn't surrounded by wildly successful people. My parents weren't wealthy. My parents' friends weren't wealthy. No one was driving fancy ass cars. Like, nobody. So I didn't know this, like a life of like working really hard. You can have this like crazier life. It was like, I went into, I got denied from my first college because I had like a 2.4 in high school GPA, and got denied from the one school at VCU, which I applied to, went to community college, and I felt like I was going to be a loser because I was going to community college. And then, and even in college, I didn't care about school. I studied business administration, which makes sense now, but I only retained enough information to pass the classes, and I just didn't care. And my goal, me and my buddies always joked about it. I was like, I don't care if I'm miserable at a job. I just want to make some money, and I want to have a suitcase in a corner office, I don't want to have like an assistant that I'm like, cancel my calls today. And so I didn't have this like mapped out big life of what I was going to do. It's, I think I've just been someone who was like authentically himself, love it or hate it. And a lot of people don't love it. And I just was my same goofy self throughout my, early 20s and late 20s and early 30s. And it's molded me into like kind of who I am and where I'm at. And I don't think anyone could have expected. So I don't even know what I'd say. I'd just be like, don't change anything, man. Like don't change who you are. Cause people say X, Y, and Z, keep your like goofy self is going to be the biggest catalyst of like what's going to help propel you like in life, like is being this goofy dude who just wants to entertain people. And, something that I pride myself on over my journey is every decision that I've made and every like decision and move that I've made has been, I think I felt good with myself, like on a moral and ethical way, and to not do wrong by people and not take advantage of people and not lie to people. And I pride myself on that, and knowing I can like go to sleep every night on my pillow knowing that I didn't rip people off, take advantage of people, scam people. And I could never do anything like that. And whether or not I was able to achieve the level of like, call it financial freedom that I have now earlier that I could have done, I am glad that my path maybe took me longer to get to this stage that I'm at in life. And I've learned so much, and I can't wait to just instill all these values into my family and try to raise an even better version of, how I hold myself. So
I'm happy for you, man. This has been one of my favorite conversations.
Yeah, this is good. This is great.
We've ever done.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 168 of the 505 podcast. If you're still here, please hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment. We'll see you guys all next week. Peace.